Hello and welcome to this episode of High Tea, your freshly brewed entertainment to empower, inspire, and evolve. And in this topic, Lars Friedrich and I are going to discuss opening up. Open up is the name of our topic this week. How much do you dare to show off? And is it beneficial to your business? Now, as you can imagine, Lars Friedrich, who works in C-Suite coaching and higher level management coaching, has a slightly different way of being and relating to people than I, who has come from the show world. So I'm looking forward to a interesting and juicy debate about how much we dare to open up. Lars, shall I kick us off and say a little bit about what I think about the topic?
Okay. I think it's a good idea. Let's kick it, Evelyne.
Let's kick it. I'm going to bring it here and say and lead with, I really love when leaders show up open, vulnerable, honest, fully engaged. I love a bit of not just entertainment, but also the being let in behind the scenes. I really, really appreciate when I get to feel another person's humanity, especially if that person is leading me and my psychology in some way. So I'm a firm believer in opening up professionally, but I also really think that opening up personally helps me feel more free, hide less in myself. It's like shedding the skins and just being shameless in a way helps being more bold, helps being free, helps feeling more alive. So I'm a huge fan of showing up. I don't know if you want to call that showing off, but I love the freedom that it brings.
That it brings, of course.
It brings,
well,
yes.
It brings. There it is again. I completely understand your point. I can relate to it, but I myself see things a little bit differently. I really like the gray man approach, and gray man just means that you kind of keeping yourself a little bit in a distance, that you give yourself the ability to see more things more objectively, and then decide to kind of join in all the kind of hot fuss and all the kind of show business in the opening up process a little later. A little later, when you really made up your mind, when you understand the energy, how the whole energy flows, wherever you are in a room, in a group or whatever, and then really give your best input and have the ability to show the best of yourself, to open up. But as I just said, rather at the later point. So all the boldness is coming just a little later.
So it almost sounds like you're a little more writing a defensive strategy rather than an offensive. Here I am showing up fully, opening up, leading that way. It feels like, well, you're kind of pulling it back a little, observing, checking out, and then going in. Is that fair to say?
I would say it's more a kind of understatement approach than a kind of proactive, overestimated approach. Overestimated approach, yes. And it's not showing off. It's more kind of showing up when the right time comes.
So where I'm coming from is the idea that the right time is created by us. So if I go into leadership, I need to step up and step out. And so I, as the leader, am the one that kicks things off. If I want to kind of check things out and wait a little bit, and then maybe, okay, you told me a secret, then maybe I'll tell you a secret too. I'm not in a leadership position here. I'm in the more reserved space.
Okay, yeah. Again, it kind of depends on how you define leadership. What you were talking about now is kind of leading from the front.
Yep.
I'm a firm believer that there's leading from the front and leading from behind. We already had a kind of discussion about it weeks ago. And the approach of leading from behind just means that you're a very strong leader that is able to delegate all his kind of tasks to his people, and has the strength and the ego to kind of holding himself or herself back. So that kind of leader is so strong that he doesn't need to show off, there it is again, all the time, and has to show off his kind of need to lead because people take him completely seriously. And I just want to kind of add a little bit. You were talking about kind of strong leaders and all this kind of stuff. The main kind of people I coach is C-Suite. So we're talking about CEOs, CEOs, all this kind of stuff. And these guys are permanently or most of the time of their work life in the limelight. So every kind of decision they make is really kind of almost scrutinized by loads of people around them or by investors, whatever. That's kind of C-Suite, yeah? And they tend, I mean, there are some kind of show girls or show horses there as well. But if you really look at the C-Suite, the kind of guys who running big kind of companies, of the like big companies, they tend to rather stay out of the limelight and come in a little bit later into the limelight when they were able to really pinpoint very, very important points about the culture of the company, what is going to happen, new products, product development, and so on. And I think this is really a kind of gray man attitude of them as well. So me being a gray man in my coaching approach, coaching gray mans is makes sense to me.
I can see how that makes sense and how it's the complete opposite of what would be useful in my business from what I can see right now, because I work with colorful people in a colorful way. And the aim of people that are wanting to show up and play bigger in this world is to be seen more. And we live in a world that is incredibly noisy and there's so much mess everywhere. In order to really stand out, we need something that's different, something that's real. And so to open up and show up, not necessarily show off. It's, for me, it's not about having a facade, but it's really about letting people see what's real. I feel that is a very refreshing approach that is at the same time also revealing your charisma and your personal, your personal magnetism. So it's entertaining, it pulls people in because we're getting a sense of another person rather than something subordinate to a system, trying to make the right decisions for the system and the structure.
Okay. And you don't have to leave all that behind, just to kind of working with a little bit more on the statement. And I think the distinction really is, are you showing off or are you showing up? And there's a very fine line. For me, there's always a very fine line. I see loads of people who show off too much because, as you just mentioned, it's a very noisy world. It's a very hectic world. And the tendency to show off instead of showing up has become a little bit too much for my liking. So not everybody who shouts the loudest or is showing up the brightest, the most colorful, the boldest, like this, like the showgirl attitude. There it is again. Yeah, that's for me, it's kind of, and all the jazz, right? These are not the people who really make the best decisions, who are the guys really in I use a little bit of strange words, in control, in power. And these days, I personally think we see we are on the verge of things kind of turning back, getting a little bit more with understatement again, because the times of new economy are over. Everybody was a showgirl. Yeah, it was shouting out loud and showing all these kind of fabulous new kind of technology. And it has come back to a more kind of understatement culture again, and not shouting out too loud, but still kind of being in the limelight when the time is right. Grayman approach.
Ha! 1 point for the Grayman approach. So I think we can really see where things make sense, they make sense. So that we don't need to show off all the time. I will be on your team, even though I'm like, come on, I want to have a fight here, but I get
you want to do it? You want to do it today?
Punch the screen. Give it. I agree with you that it's not about having the jazz hands up and being the brightest and loudest at all. I'm really talking about opening up. How much do you dare to let people see the real you? And I think that we live in a time where more connection is needed, because as you know, technology makes us so lonely. Like, we have the ability to be connected with everyone, but we don't really connect.
Yes.
So in my little cross screen approach here. So in order to connect, there you are. We're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. We need to actually open up and let the other person see us. So even though you're talking about a showgirl approach, that always sounds like I'm putting something out there, but at the same time, what I'm really interested in is actually letting people see behind the facades. And we just had a very interesting conversation about how much do I turn up the showing up piece, that I want to be seen, how much do I leave the invisibility cloak behind? How much do I allow myself to be visible? And without having to go, here, it's me, it's me, it's me. So I think there's a dance here, which reminds me actually of the story of Marilyn Monroe. She said that she could walk down the street and nobody bothered her. But once she turned on Marilyn, people would turn their heads. So there's something that's really useful in being able to turn up the show up. But then again, I'm taking this to another level by saying opening up, being a leader who actually allows other people to see our humanity as well, which I totally respect. It's probably far away from what's going on in C-Suite coaching these days.
Yeah, I think it's a big question as well, as you just said. It's a big question, how big is my ego? Because we all know it's always nice to have a moment to shine, but as far as I see it, kind of having this ability to be the gray man needs really to kind of turn down your ego, and it needs really acting with humility as well. So there might be times when this kind of more kind of showing up, or as you could just say it, as opening up is really necessary, and it really helps to really connect with each other on a completely different level. And that's, I think, what is most important: opening up, not kind of showing off, yes, but really opening up to kind of make a conversation really very fruitful, to make it a very precious kind of interaction between two human beings with the almost best outcome.
Yeah, I agree. So to take our viewers into a more pragmatic roundup of this table discussion, what would you say you could take over from the showgirl world that would help you and your clients?
What I could take over? Well, I choose not to.
Ooh.
The problem, or not the problem, I mean, being the gray man, as I just said, for my clients and myself, has so many advantages that taking on the showgirl attitude as a kind of fixed kind of state of mind, or as a kind of way of behaving and living, is not what they really tend to do.
Yeah, but again,
they becoming the showgirl, but let me rephrase it quickly. They becoming the showgirl as soon as they have to do kind of bigger presentations in front of investors, public, or whatever. And I mean, we know one guy who was fabulous in kind of doing that. Let's take all the kind of Apple kind of the big Apple presentations every year. I mean, this was the best case of showgirling, of showing off, of not opening up, but really showing off. And it still is today. I mean, the big Apple meetings are very well known for being a show. But if you kind of see how Apple kind of acts the whole other year, it's more with understatement, and they let the press or the kind of rumors do the work for them.
So there is a good mixture of the two worlds, which is interesting to see. And I just really...
one is active, and the other one is more passive. So it depends. Then we have a question of mindset, image. What kind of image does the company have, or what kind of image do they tend to follow? And I think loads of other things come into play as soon as we come into this. So you were asking me, what can I personally take from showgirl? And my honest answer is, well, I won't, because my place is out of the limelight. I'm the gray man because I chose to be, because it helps my clients to get all the attention they deserve.
And when I talk about that approach, I actually mean the opening up more than the showing off.
Okay. The opening up is a natural part of even the gray man. That's where we already agreed. The showing off is a part that the gray man doesn't do, but
Mm.
opening up is a very normal procedure within the coaching as well.
But in a corporate setting, I have never witnessed people from a corporate setting really being open. It seems very close to me. But maybe they're open in a coaching session. But when
Which
they
is a completely different thing. I'm not doing group coaching. I'm not doing company coaching. I'm doing coaching for the individual.
yeah,
So
so
as soon as coaching for the individual, it's about the individual, the person, which is very about opening up.
yeah, so you have a very confined space you can open up within that.
Absolutely.
Hmm. I think that's cool. What I'm taking from the gray man approach for my clients and my business is that really the ability of putting yourself back. I think that's also important for those of us who are more out there, visible, in your face type coaches, to be able to pull yourself back, because it's not always about you or me. When I sit with a client, it's not about my stories, it's about my clients. So I too become a sort of gray man when I'm in a one-to-one session. So that's really important for me to distinguish. The way I show up on screen as somebody who talks about things is distinctly different than what you're going to have in your coaching session with me. So I'm
Right.
taking that, and I love the way that you articulated that, the gray man approach. I can really blend in and really be in just purely in service of the client is important. But at the same time, I will also allow the client to see me behind any role, behind any service that I might be giving. So that's the opening up part. And then when I stand up and show up on screen as a person, as a leader, that's my moment to shine. This is when the showgirl absolutely has her place.
I think basically it's a question, what is really your target group? Whom are the people, who are your clients? Whom are you talking to? Whom are you coaching? So if it's more kind of extroverted people, yeah, they like to kind of opening up directly from the beginning. If it's more about introverted people, it's more kind of, yeah, taking yourself a little bit more back and allow them to slowly come forward to you. That's how I see it.
That makes sense. And I have the pleasure to work with both groups, but the desire they both hold is to be out more. People want to play a bigger game when they come to me. Otherwise, why would they do it?
Okay.
Right. Okay. So to summarize, do you want to do the summary? Shall we do it together?
You start, I finish.
All right. So to summarize this little debate that we have, how much do you dare to open up? How beneficial is that for your business? We distinguished between opening up and letting people see, and showing off, which is that part of really taking charge of the limelight. And we can see that that's the showing off and taking charge of the limelight is super useful in a position where you are presenting, where you don't, but then in the C-suite, that's, you want to play the opposite approach and take yourself back and not necessarily be seen as much. That the opening up is actually where both worlds meet.
Yes.
And we're allowed to be human, and we are allowed to be human, and we're allowed to see each other. And the question always is, in how deep do we dare to go there? In my opinion, there is no end to it. I'm happy to shed the skin of the onion and keep going, because I find that there's always more.
I completely agree. So where's the end? The end is where you dare to go. As far as you dare to go, there's the end. And to summarize the approaches, it always depends what your business is about. So how much do you need to promote your business? How much do you want to promote your business? And I think then a mixture of both worlds, like the Grayman approach, this showgirl approach, is the right approach for you. Whatever helps you to get your business promoted, to get promoted what you're really doing and where you feel really comfortable. That's how I see it. And to summarize it, and what gives the little kind of extra flavor to who you really are.
Beautiful. Thank you. So, as always, it's not either one or the other. There is a dance between the worlds, and it's enriching to understand about the different ends of the rainbow. And that's why we're bringing this high tea to you. We hope that you enjoyed this brew. Have a wonderful day and let us know what you think. Let us know your experiences. Any questions, type them in the comments below, and we will get back to you as soon as you can even think out loud, because we're super keen to hear it. Have a good day, and I'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.